were talking at the drivers' meeting about how we used to play iRacing and would run C-fixed races at Chicagoland, and that for it to ironically come down to us two there at the end. It was I raced him in those scenarios, just it was on iRacing and not real life.
Welcome in, folks, to NASCAR Film Room. My name is Eric Eastep, and I am joined by Chicagoland Speedway winner Chase Briscoe. Chase, you said last night this might be the most American you've ever felt, and now it's been about a day later. How are you feeling after getting your first, after reeling in your first win of the NASCAR season?
Yeah, I mean, it still feels pretty American, and I think, as I look at the pictures, it's just pretty cool. Like, honestly, anytime you win a NASCAR race, you feel pretty American. I guess unless you're SVG, but just to do it on that weekend, and with it being the 250th, birthday of America, and then just driving the Bass Pro Shop colors in general, but let alone when we have the red, white, and blue car, it's just pretty dang cool. So yeah, it was a special weekend, just felt really American in that moment, which was a pretty cool thing to feel.
Chase, what we do here in the film room is we break down key moments from the race with the race winner. I want to start back late stage one. You were on two tires on a restart, and restarts all day were especially insane, it seemed like. But how insane was it from your seat, especially this restart in particular? Were you able to make a really nice crossover move to get up to second?
Yeah, this one was, obviously pretty critical from just a track position standpoint. When you take two tires, you kind of, make your bed, right? And Reddick, I think, kind of double stacked the top. So I started third row inside instead of being, fourth row outside, and was able to get to second pretty quick here. Honestly thought I was going to be able to get to the lead pretty easily when I got to second that fast. And Cindric just did a great job of kind of playing the aero game, and his car was just good enough to kind of stay in front of me. And those other guys that were on two tires, Tyler Reddick was I think the first guy actually onto. The restart just didn't go his way, and you kind of get swallowed up by the guys on four tires. So for me to be that first guy on two tires, it just kind of let me survive, and it was an overall net gain for us from a track position standpoint. And then that was really I would say the turning point for our race from just a track position standpoint. We went from like 10th to 7th and 7th to 5th, and then 5th to 2nd or 3rd there. And that was kind of the leapfrog that got us where we started getting some track position.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up, because we saw some drivers who had stayed out, like Cindric managed to hold the lead pretty well. They held track position. But we saw some guys who took 2, some who took 0, fade through the pack. You were able to drive up to second and I think still score top 5 stage points even after the fresh tires caught up to you. So it was a big track position moment. I want to talk about one of my favorite moments, like battles of the race. It was a long run. You're battling, I guess, 2 of your teammates. You're battling Denny and Bubba for the race lead. You're 3 wide. How were you able to carry your momentum on the outside and ultimately complete this pass, racing two of the guys you share meetings with?
Yeah, it was kind of reminiscent of the Coke 600. And this move, it kind of not frustrated me in the moment, but it just didn't go the way I wanted it to go. We were catching Bubba so fast, and I went to the top there in 3 and 4 and knew I was going to pass Bubba, truthfully, but he kind of missed the bottom and gave Denny the entire bottom lane there in 3 and 4 and made it where now all of a sudden we were 3 wide. And I knew I was really racing Denny there for the lead, just with how fast the 23 was kind of bleeding time. I was trying to, obviously get by the 23 without the 11 getting there. And when it allowed the 11 to get there, it just made it where I wasn't able to separate myself as much as I wanted to. Truthfully, Denny's car was a little bit better at that stage of the run. But, I felt like I was a pretty close second. So if I could have just got the clean air, without him getting right by Bubba, I felt like I was going to be able to drive away a little bit and just build that gap, because I knew that the green flag pit stops were coming. And, I felt like at that point of the race, I was honestly just racing the 11 for the win, because everybody else in the long run just didn't seem to have the speed as we did.
Yeah, we know how fast the Toyota is. I mean, how fast you were last night on the long run. Although I will say, William Byron was probably the best of the Chevrolets most of the evening and gave you guys almost as much as you could handle at certain points. There was, before the final green flag pit stop, when you were running down William Byron for the race lead, there was a moment you had where you got into the outside wall in turn 2 a bit. Can you just talk about like how treacherous was Chicagoland? Because it's an older surface. We saw guys spin out on their own. What happened to you here, and were you nervous that anything maybe was damaged in the moment?
Yeah, I was just, kind of searching around there. trying to find something. I'd been kind of running on that seam that I obviously missed and started sliding up on. But I'd been running that seam of the racetrack, and it seemed to have a little bit of grip for me. So I kept trying to hit that and just tried to get a little bit more and move a little bit higher and see if there was anything. And yeah, it was really bizarre. I was just going through the corner, and then all of a sudden I lost all grip, and the thing just went straight into the fence. So, yeah, I hit the wall pretty hard, truthfully, and bent the toe link, and I instantly knew I bent the toe link. My steering was off down the straightaway, and all of a sudden my car was kind of sideways all through the corner. So, yeah, I just tried to regather my composure, truthfully, and trying to figure out now what I need to do because my car, was instantly driving way different with the toe being knocked out. So, yeah, James and them did a great job under that green flag pit stop from a strategy standpoint, obviously, but also tightening my car up, just knowing that I had bent the toe link and that I was going to be way looser now.
Wow. Okay. So I wasn't, because we know the 20, he had contact earlier in the race on pit road. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
So they had to repair the splitter, spend extra time on pit road. You had a little issue with the toe link there. So it was two wounded race cars, I guess, battling for the win there in the final laps. You wouldn't know it looking at the lap times. You guys were still putting together a blistering pace. I want to fast forward now to the final laps of this race. You were able to cycle ahead of Byron. Good pit call from your crew chief, James Small, to get you that track position. You had the long run speed to pull away, but then here comes Christopher Bell with maybe the most long run speed. There was a move you made, I think, coming to 3 to go. It was sort of like a fake out. Like we know how important clean air is. Yeah. You were able to kind of, I wasn't sure at first if this was reactionary or an actual like fake. Whoa, right there. You started.
Yeah, that was the move that won me the race.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, just, I was trying to be unpredictable to a certain extent. I was going to go to the bottom, and then the lap car kind of ran the bottom up there a little bit, but then I saw Christopher going to the top, and just last minute I made a decision. I'm going to go to the top. Even though I had been slower running the top, I felt like I could not give him clean air because I knew 3 and 4, the bottom, or really just 3 and 4 in general, was my struggle in. I could always beat pretty much the whole field in 1 and 2, but I was just not good in 3 and 4. And I knew if I gave him clean air, he was going to have such a run down the straightaway. So, yeah, I was going to the bottom, and then I saw in my mirror that he was going to go to the top, and I just changed last minute and decided to go up there. And, yeah, that's honestly, I felt like what won me the race.
Yeah, it built you a couple car links that held on for those final couple laps. But looking at the last couple laps, I mean, you had to navigate, you had one eye out front, you had one eye in your mirror. I'm sure you're listening to your spotter. You're also trying to navigate lap traffic. Like there's so many variables that us fans maybe aren't aware of just watching on TV or even watching from the grandstand. So just how are you able to keep your focus, keep your composure, and finish the job here in these final couple laps?
Yeah, it was tough because the lap cars were honestly a little unpredictable. They're obviously, still on the lead lap, so they're trying to, just in case a green, white checkered or something, they want to be on the lead lap so they can still have a good finish. And so they're racing you really hard, but they were, running 2 different grooves here, as you can see in front of me. So, yeah, it made it tough because you're just trying to go opposite of where they are. And the lap traffic, I felt like, let Christopher catch me a little faster than what he would have if it was clean air. But then the lap cars is what won me the race here because it just made it where Christopher, couldn't go to the bottom right there. He was going to be in dirty air. And then same thing, into 1 here, I thought he was going to have a really good chance. This is the closest he had kind of been. And even with AJ kind of getting out of the way, it made it right here where Christopher couldn't really go to the bottom. It just kind of boxed him in. So, yeah, the lap cars, as much as they made him, I felt like, get to me a little bit quicker than what he would have, they truthfully kind of won me the race at the end just because it made it where I knew where he was going to go just because he wasn't going to go follow a lap car that was way slower, and it gave him some dirty air too. So, yeah, it was kind of a blessing in disguise that we were in the lap traffic that we were.
Yeah, if they're going to be unpredictable for you, you just hope that they're also unpredictable for the guy chasing you down. Yeah. So, and I guess last question, I know you and Christopher, obviously your teammates, but I know you guys also have a long history. You've raced each other for many years. Didn't he like crash on your couch at some point when y'all were kids, or am I misremembering that? Was that?
Yeah, we lived together. I actually lived at his place for a little bit. I tried to get my parents to let him move in with us, and they're like, we're not going to let some kid we don't know move in. But yeah, Christopher and I mean, I'm 31. I'm a day older than he is.
Oh, wow.
We've known each other, I think, since we were probably 12 years old, 12 or 13, and have literally raced against each other online, and then in real life, obviously, since that time. And we were talking at the drivers' meeting about how we used to play iRacing and would run C fixed races at Chicagoland, and that would ironically come down to us two there at the end. It was a story I had seen before. Like I'd raced him in those scenarios. Just it was on iRacing and not real life.
That's hilarious. I love that. Yeah, I know. I knew you guys had a long history, and it's cool you're teammates now and are both winning Cup Series races. But I just wondered how that played into the back of your mind when that's the guy you have to hold off here to get your first one of the season. But it was exciting. Chase Briscoe, congratulations on the big win. Appreciate you taking the time today, and hopefully we get to do this again sometime soon.
Yeah, heck yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.